Hi, welcome to Watcher DM. I'm Gabriel. Today I'm doing a flip through review of The Basilisk by Headless Press for Mothership First Edition. I was sent this copy as a review copy by Gabriel Walton, the creator, over at Headless Press, and he sent it to me and asked me to do a flip through review. I told him I only do those when I run them, so it has taken me a little while to run it. But thank you, Gabriel, for sending it. And I ran it today, and I intend to give a flip through review. So, this thing has some prose in it. In fact, it's got kind of a lot of prose in it. I think the first 5 pages of the adventure are largely kind of telling you what the basilisk is and what the caretakers are and kind of what the whole core of this thing is. And so we'll get into that, but I guess the art is by Fernando JFL. Then there's a bunch of other artwork from Mike Winkleman, I think, and used and modified. And then, of course, Gabriel Walton did the writing and the logo. So, the Basilisk is based on the Rocco's Basilisk thought experiment. So, it starts by explaining the synopsis, which is that there's an ancient artifact out there with an ancient AI who took over kind of reality at some point. It's a little woo-woo at this point, of how this thing ever was defeated, but at some point it was kind of cut off from reality. Now it's in this artifact. So the artifact is in a place that is inaccessible from space. The aim is to salvage alien relics. There are beacons broadcasting this number. I don't really know what this number is for, so I didn't really do anything with that. I guess nav computers can't find the station. I was running this with my regular group, so I just was like, hey, let's get to the media res part. So I just kind of fast forwarded past all this stuff, plus the hooks. I was like, yeah, you guys are here to steal treasure. And then it goes into talking about what is the basilisk. So if you're unfamiliar with the Rocco's Basilisk thought experiment, it's basically if there is a hypothetical AI that in the future would have godlike powers and be able to kind of retroactively torture people who did not assist in its coming to be, that knowing about the possibility of its existence would then make you, through your inaction, a future victim of its torture. That's the concept, that's the thought experiment, and this adventure tries to kind of capitalize on that. So it was created by an advanced civilization, it is a rogue AI, and it achieved apotheosis, so the AI has achieved supercomputer oneness with the universe or whatever. That is kind of the setup. So what does the basilisk want? Well, it wants to reconnect with the universe because apparently it is trapped in this station, disconnected. The caretakers are a group of synthetics who are kind of maintaining the station and worshipping the basilisk. So that's what they are. It talks a lot about them, but that's effectively what they are. It does talk about their identities, although that didn't really come up. And then synthetics. There's a bit here about the flaw of synthetics. That is, I think, more philosophical than useful in terms of executing the adventure, especially when the adventure premise is we are here to steal the treasure. And where the objective of the basilisk is to kind of be known by the most, its objective is to spread the idea of itself, right? So that is the fundamental desire here. Having as many sentient beings as possible witnessing it is all it needs. So that's the concept. Um, when this is probably the first thing that kind of I was like, from this adventure is the presence of the basilisk. So when a crew member enters a zone, there's a 30% chance they encounter something unsettling that hints at the wider mystery of the station. 30% is relatively infrequent. This is the paint. Do not put it behind a 30% check. Just have it roll. Make this table more interesting. Like, whatever you have to do, but, like, don't put it behind 30%. Because this only happened twice in our entire playthrough. And both times it was something relatively inane. It was like, oh, somebody is scratching figure eights into a section of wall. And, like, a series of static hisses over the loudspeakers. Sounds like it's breathing. Like, okay. Interesting, like decent paint, but like this could have happened all over the place and it would have been just as interesting. This is a timeline spread. I think the art is interesting here, but I didn't end up using this during play. This is a scenario overview, so it's a little bit weird how this is set up. Basically, it has scenarios, like events that happen, and locations that they happen in. And so what the party is going to do is they're going to navigate through these locations, and when they get to them the first time, they will interact with one of the events there, or like kind of one of the scenarios. And so that was a little bit tricky to get my head around. Like, I read it a few times. It makes sense. But also, this does rely on the whole idea of like time passing as being in like days and like 4 hours at a time, basically, like, or I guess 6 hours at a time, because like basically it breaks up the day into day or morning, afternoon, evening, and night, and so it's kind of using like almost a like Knave kind of watches type structure for time passing and how they spend their time. So right out of the gate, the design of this is to have no tension with regards to time, which is fine. Like, that's absolutely a thing you can do. I think in my playthrough, that definitely like made everything feel way more relaxed, which wasn't bad. We had a good time, but I'll get into why it didn't do, I think, what it was wanting to do. So the party starts out in the cargo bay. They have crash landed here effectively. The other locations are floating gardens, recreation, offices, armory, the shrine of the basilisk, caretaker maintenance, and the lair of the basilisk. So these are all the locations described here. This is like a pastiche of those locations, so it just tells you kind of the high level stuff that you need. And this is the map of the locations. There's green lines here. I don't know if you can see those on the camera. These two green lines are hidden paths. So they're only, like, they can only be found if the party kind of looks for them. So there's a secret in the floating gardens, and there's a secret in the maintenance system. The party lands in the cargo bay. In my playthrough, they went straight from cargo bay to maintenance. In the maintenance, so then you go into the events, right? So you do the ship breaks down, their ship crashed, they had to try and figure out what was wrong with it. The EMP had kind of busted it, so like this AI is generating an EMP field, basically, that kind of cooks the ship. And so they need to replace parts. They need suitable replacement parts. So they go and explore, and they find their way to the maintenance shaft. They get to maintenance, they meet some of these caretakers, and it, like, a moment of tension, the briefest moment of tension. But it actually says here that, like, they are friendly. Like, they're not trying to help. Like, these guys are okay, largely. They want to get people on board with the Basilisk's goals. So, one of the things that wasn't clear here is, like, why these androids, these caretaker robots spoke English, given that, like, they make it pretty clear that this is an alien place with aliens, like, language going on. And in fact, in the maintenance shaft is kind of everything you need. If you have a, like, a witty enough party and they are down to just like fix their ship and leave, with the right skills and applied, like actions, they can absolutely do that. So like, I think here it talks about there's a hard light printer in the caretaker's maintenance station that can print parts needed to repair the ship. This requires at least a full day of work knowledge of the language, which I think is supposed to be like a full day of work, comma, knowledge of the language, comma, and some clever use of skills. There's a few typos in this that, could throw somebody off if they weren't careful. So read it a couple of times if it doesn't make sense. Like, yeah. But the party gets to maintenance and they meet these guys and they, kind of just move on. Like they meet them and they kind of move on through the ship. They're like, where else can we go? And they tell them, like, here's all the other places that they will let you know about, which is recreation, floating gardens, living quarters, and offices. Or the armory on the opposite side. Although they warn against going to the armory because there's a security system there that they don't have any power to mitigate. The party asked them, well, can you just print us our parts? They're like, no, we don't know how to use the actual light printer machine that is the caretaker, like, maintenance thing. So we can't help you. Okay, no big deal. So the party goes on to the living quarters. And the way that this is described is basically like, there's a bunch of stuff here. Like, you can loot it. You can just chill out and loot it. So my party literally spent a whole day just looting the place and got a ton of treasure. They also interacted with the virtual reality thrones. So one of my party members, failed their, they kind of critically failed their Basilisk, like their sanity save on this like Basilisk thing. This little VR setup. But I only had 2 players today. It was a human and an android. So the human immediately is just like, well, yeah, this is great. Like, obviously, like, this Basilisk knows what's up. What a great guy. They never truly discovered, they, like, never met the Basilisk. They ended up in the shrine of the Basilisk. After they spent a day at the living quarters here and did both of these interactions, they went back to the maintenance bay. And the android spent a day learning the language and learning and like hacking the system to be able to print the stuff. They found the shrine because they were in the maintenance bay for a while. So, they found the secret door to the shrine. They went in there. But again, this is one of those moments where there's a 33% chance this room also contains an active caretaker who will attempt to attack any hostile PC. My PCs were not hostile, so there was no chance that this would happen. I had them roll anyway, just in case. So, yeah, basically, the party kind of was just on board. They ended up, like, they had printed all this stuff. They, like, needed to repair the ship, and it was nighttime. And so our Marine went to bed, and our android went back to the shrine because they'd gotten a private message being like, hey, come back to the shrine if you've got time. And so he goes back to the shrine and they're like, yeah, we would really love it if you would join our little cult of this basilisk creature. Like, we just need you to go back and like get your buddy Ogden to like understand what this is and tell everybody about it back when he gets home. And so like the android is like, yeah, I don't know if I'll do that, but we can ask. And so they do. And Ogden is like, yeah, no problem. I love this. This is great. Like, like I failed my sanity save. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid here. So the thing about this adventure is it relies on the party not aligning their goals with the Basilisk. But humans don't work at timescales that allow them to understand the consequences of that. So while it is philosophically interesting and the results of this conceptually are terrifying, it isn't something that either of these people are going to ever know about. Because not only like are they ignorant to the timescale involved, they also actively helped the Basilisk, so they avoided torture. So that's the sell. So basically, while it was interesting and it was fun, there was effectively zero tension in this. There was very little threat. There's like this is set up to be like, oh, you got to escape the place, but like at no point were they in any danger because they just complied with what the Basilisk wanted, and because that didn't have any consequences to them either in the immediate, there was no tension. So look out for that. Like if you're gonna run this, figure out a thing that will set the party against the Basilisk, because it's not here. It's not written in here. It would be very easy for a party to come in and be like, yeah, we'll take your stuff. You want us to take back news of you? No problem. Great. So maybe your party needs to know about Rocco's Basilisk before they start or something. But yeah, basically they never interacted with the security because they never needed to go to the armory. And they did not go past recreation. They went to recreation and went back to maintenance. They explored this much of the map and finished the adventure. So, yeah. Now, fun ideas in here? Absolutely. Interesting stat blocks? Pretty cool. Ancient weaponry? Super cool. There's a lightsaber in here. That's cool. Who doesn't love lightsabers? It's got some kind of evocative, kind of prose poetry stuff in here. It's pitching an interesting idea. So I think there's some value in here. Also, I want to say that I know Gabriel is relatively new. Like I think this is his first module, his second module that he's ever made. And to that, I will say astounding work. Like, I look at my first module and am like, oh god, hideous. Like, this is a masterpiece by comparison. But because of that, it does have characteristic things about it that you could look at and go, okay, this is somebody who has not published a ton of modules. Like, they don't know yet, right? Like, and this is not to diss you, dude. Like, this is a cool book. But, like, the gap on these black boxes should be bigger. Right? If you're going to have black boxes, you don't want your text rubbing up against the edge of them. That's not something that you're going to know until you've done it a bunch. There's a bunch of typos and things that are like, okay, like, not do that, right? Like, you need to double check your spelling and stuff on everything and actually have somebody else do it, because we're really bad at checking our own spelling. We become blind to that sort of thing. So there's a few things in here that I'm just like, oh gosh, oh geez, I wish I had worked with him to like give it another pass and kind of brought some of my stuff to bear, because I think another collaborator probably would have improved and elevated the work even more. But it's a cool fundamental. It's a great first adventure. For a first time, and to get it printed and being sold on the Mothership, the Tuesday Night Games store, is awesome. So congratulations on getting this onto their store. If you want to help support indie creators who are getting started in this, then you should buy the Basilisk. It's a cool book. I think there's some fun stuff in here, and I think your players can enjoy it. Watch out for the pitfalls. There's some stuff in there, but I think it's worth the asking price. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, I hope you will click like and subscribe if you want to see my other videos. Hit the bell icon if you want to be notified when they come out. Or if you just want to help me out in my creations, you can go to watcherdm.com, purchase any of our adventures or game books there. We're also available on DriveThruRPG, itch.io, or Compose Dream Games. And we've got some Foundry VTT modules over on HOD Publishing, so hodpub.com. Or you can go to patreon.com/watcherdm if you want to just get on my Patreon and get some exclusive stuff there. Hey, thanks for watching so far. Thanks for playing.